There is nothing unusual or spectacular or of the devil or harmful in channeling if it is understood as a perfectly natural process. It is the lack of understanding that causes problems. The greatest spiritual accomplishment anyone can aspire to on the earth plane is to learn to use their channel in a wise and loving way that is beneficial not only to themselves but to all kingdoms. Those who want to achieve this ability to channel must first transmute any attitudes that they hold that are unbecoming to a god, as that is what they will become when the ability to channel their god within becomes a reality. Therefore, this must be the first stage of progress for this channeling ability to open up. The transmutation of attitudes is the way to move on past the psychic stage. Transmutation is the bridge from each stage of the path to the next stage. There are always more bad attitudes of a higher level at the beginning of each stage that need to be transmuted. You go through a thorough transmutation process when bridging between psychic phenomena and channeling. You go through another set of transmutation of attitudes before the bonding takes place. Each set gets harder, but the seeker becomes more purified at each stage. The next set of attitudes for you to transmute would seem like very good qualities to those who are in the stage of transmutation between psychic ability and channeling. Even though you have achieved a goal to be desired, you know there are many higher and harder stages yet to come. When you meditate, you must then evaluate all messages or information you receive and then look at yourself honestly. Is what you are receiving always what you want to hear, similar to confirmation? If so, it probably is coming from your subconscious mind. If it's thoughts that shake you up and make you question your own concepts, it is most likely coming from the teachers and guides. Remember, please, that when just beginning to receive from this area, that the teachers and guides will deal with personal problems to encourage you to continue. When the communication lines are stronger, then the material will become, at first, more profound for you personally, for your own growth, and eventually it will become more meaningful to others as far as the growth of the rest of humanity. When this happens, the personal help will cease, for the most part, for a period of time, until synthesization takes place between your higher and lower selves, and then the personal guidance will be there at your fingertips at all times. It is a progressive path, and the reasoning, intelligent mind must be applied to what you receive at all times. You must constantly ask yourself if it feels right or sounds right to you. This is what is meant by testing the spirits. When the sparks entered the physical body, it was never intended that they should lose contact with the main body of the Creator God that stayed in the higher realms. The plan was to always have open lines of communication. Channeling is part of the plan as it allows this communication to take place. Therefore, channeling is a natural, normal stage of evolution for humanity, whose time has come. Channeling takes many forms with many people. It won't always be as words being heard in your head or thought pictures. It could come just as thoughts. There are others who bring this channel through the arts, who channel inspiration from the higher realms into their paintings, into their music, and most definitely into theatrical performances. The ability to do channeling was looked upon as witchcraft for many centuries, even to the point of burning at the stake those who did this. There were not as many highly evolved souls in other dimensions at that time to respond with intelligence. Therefore, some who could contact other dimensions did so with a lower level of evolved souls, and this is why it was looked on as witchcraft. As progress is made on the earth plane, so also is the voice within able to contact more intelligent thoughts and ideas. Most children being born today will have the channel readily able to open with proper education. Herein lies the only control factor of this stage of evolution. Education is to the proper use of the ability to channel. This is the ability to communicate with your inner being, the unseen parts of you that make up the total you. The kingdom of God is within and can be reached by channeling the Trinity. The Trinity that the churches have talked about for so long is made up of the large, all-encompassing mind of the Creator, the Father, the fragmented mind of humans, the Son, and the conglomerate mind of all we have ever been, the micro-min that is inside our mind, the Holy Ghost. To explain further, the Trinity consists of the entity's own mind, which is his animal-based brain, infiltrated by thoughts from the divine spark. That's one part of the Trinity. The conglomerate mind is another part of the Trinity. This consists of the teachers and guides, entities who have already crossed over and are further ahead on the path than we are, who have reached back to help. They are a living human being in the unmanifested state. You are a living human being in the manifested state. This is two parts of the Trinity. The third part is the divine mind, the Creator God. When one gets a subtle feeling or some other subtle communication, this is intuition and is a forerunner of channeling. The intuition needs to be worked on and developed and will eventually turn into actual channeling. You can't say that intuition is a form of channeling, but rather that it is a forerunner of the actual process of channeling. Intuition is grown out of instinct of the animal-based brain and is a sign of the beginning influence of the soul on the incarnation. Channeling is an absolutely normal function for human beings. Humans are the link between two different manifestations of the Creator's energy. Humans are transformers between physical matter and ethereal matter. There are 3 dimensions lower than the human and 3 higher. The first 7 planets are used for these manifestations of energy. The merging of the lower and higher takes place in the middle kingdom, the biological, on the middle planet of the 7, which is Earth. As the link between the lower and higher, channeling is of both spiritual and physical importance. It is the line of relationship running through all the kingdoms, tying them together, and is of a twofold nature. One aspect of it is ESP and intuition, which is a natural link-up between kingdoms. The other aspect is a channeling that feeds into the human being from the higher dimensions. There is a distinct difference in channels because channeling is based on a mathematical progression of absolute perfection. When the channel first opens, it must work its way up through the manifested ways of channeling to the unmanifested ways. The first way involves psychic phenomena, not only human to human, but also human to animal, the biological kingdom, human to plant, the botanical kingdom, and human to mineral, the geological kingdom. The second way is mind-to-mind phenomena, human to prismatic kingdom, human to atmospheric kingdom, and human to the astronomical kingdom. The channels that use beta waves are the lower kingdom channels. These waves are radiations of the animal-based brain and radiate upward from the lower kingdoms. Those who use alpha waves are the higher kingdom channels. These waves are radiations of the divine mind and radiate downward from the higher kingdoms. Both manifest in the human being. A channel will work from the one state into the next if they continue growing and evolving and raising their consciousness. The first step in channeling is actually no contact with the channel. The first crack in a person's seed core is the most important because this must take place before any other steps can follow. It takes different forms for some than others. In some, it is precipitated by an accident to the physical body. In others, it is brought on quickly by a mental blow of some sort, a divorce, loss of a loved one, loss of a job, betrayal by a friend, and so on. In others, it is a long, slow process of deterioration, not only of the physical body, but also of the mental boredom that triggers the crack in the seed core as a life-saving maneuver, instigated by a person's own soul. This first step has no other duty, but is the most important. The second step is still no contact with the channel. The study in your own university will take many different forms: meditation, reflection, regression, and expression, to name a few. Meditation is just sitting quietly and listening to the little voice within you. Reflection should be done before you drop off to sleep, reviewing the day's events. Another step would be just plain study on all phases of the search that interests you and drawing conclusions as to what you feel are truths for you and those that you are questioning, plus the continued deep searching of your own attitudes. Third plane contact is astral plane contact. The astral plane is the part of the path that is the reason the churches are so against the inner contact or channeling. No one understood this astral plane, and it was thought that delving into the inner life caused one to go mad, that it was satanic and the work of the devil. It was forbidden and discouraged, and all growth towards truly finding their inner being was stunted. It must be explained here that the astral plane is backwards from the Earth's 12 planes because it is a reflection. The first point of contact will be level 12. The person must continue climbing the astral plane, which is going backwards from level 12 to level 3, until he breaks free to the fourth plane, where inner spacemen, accredited teachers and guides, are waiting to help him. Fourth plane contact is with inner spacemen, your teachers and guides. When you reach this point and persevere, you will have a breakthrough totally into the fourth dimension and contact a true record of growth accomplished by the whole spark being held by your twin soul. Next would then be contact with the teachers and guides, past incarnations of yours. Even though they're further ahead than you, they may not be as intelligent as you. They have been through the earth plane experience, but because of the progress made on the earth plane, which has been quite phenomenal, they have never experienced many of the things that you have. They would do better guiding you in things such as a good direction for you to go in your job or something like that, but you can't nail them down to little everyday items because they are not going to be as qualified to make some of those decisions as you are. Fifth plane contact is with your twin soul. The previous stage of growth is very quickly passed through, and as you climb the 12 dimensions of level 5, you come more in tune with your twin and eventually join in soul and body cooperation. In other words, your octave higher twin reflection, the soul, begins to be able to influence your daily life with good, positive thoughts. You then merge with the oversoul, which is the mind of the Creator, on the true fifth dimension, the ethereal realm of 5, for a healing that manifests itself on the earth plane as a happy, loving part of the all, a feeling of being one with the Creator and loving everyone and everything. This is where most people stop their growth. They believe they have perfected themselves and quit. This is the heaven that the churches teach is our goal. Sixth plane contact is with outer spacemen, also your teachers and guides. If one perseveres again, he will enter the sixth plane. This is usually caused by frustration after realizing that the feeling of oneness wasn't quite as fulfilling as you thought. It depends on the level or tone you entered on as to whether you are still reviewing or if you are investigating new territory for you. No matter, you find yourself going off alone, leaving those with whom shortly before you felt so much communion with, be it study groups, cults, churches, or whatever, and exploring all kinds of new ideas for you. You don't need to have anyone else because you and your twin are one by this time, and you feel very whole when alone and very secure in your spiritual understanding. Seventh plane contact is with teaching groups where you begin to work towards being a teacher yourself. This applies both exoterically and esoterically from plane 6 on. Up until that time, there was a division between exoteric and esoteric life, but not from plane 6 on. There is harmony and oneness as the whole spark. Now, this is not total synthesization, because that cannot happen until the higher planes where the next convolution into your seed core takes place. Trance-channeling is the old world method of channeling. The New Age method of channeling is conscious channeling. In the old method, the person doing the channeling, the medium, stepped out of the body and let the one coming through use the body. This was mostly done by entities on the astral plane because they have forms as large as those of us on the earth plane. Trance-channeling is not to go into the new millennium. This is not the correct way to handle channeling. Those who go into a trance are not doing anything different than the mediums with their crystal balls did in the circus many decades ago. This is not what is wanted. Those people teaching trance channeling are doing a disservice to others and need to understand this so they themselves will grow past what it is they are doing and not encourage others to do it this way. There will be much karma involved for one teaching others old world methods. The most successful way of opening this creative channel in all will be by actual hands-on creative expression every day of their life, beginning at the youngest age possible. The channel will open according to the humility of the person, their motives for using it, which are known to those on the inner planes, and service to humanity, sincere service over a lengthy period of time. To sum it up, the creative arts are the best, safest, and most surest and reliable way to open this channel in both children and adults. The individual goal for all is a totally synthesized man. The goal for humanity as a whole is the brotherhood of man. The first can only be reached through the creative arts, which will lead to self-esteem for each individual, which will lead to the brotherhood of man. This is the middle path, the central channel, the balance point in all things, and it must begin to be stressed in our school system. When channeling is done on the advanced planes, It is through correct esoteric means of using the micro-universe. This means the entity coming through is no bigger in size on the earth plane than a pinpoint. The one doing the channeling on the earth plane, the medium, does not need to vacate the body to allow one this size to come through. They merely stand behind the one doing the channeling, if you will. They are still in the body, and the switch can be made back and forth from one to the other. Eventually, the blending is completed by the higher entity intertwining with the cells of the body and taking up permanent residence there. This is when total synthesization has been achieved and the medium is in contact with the God within. The medium will then be talking to the cells of his or her own body. This is the goal. Each one on the earth plane will have their God within in residence in the body and be operating through divine guidance at all times.